Well, today we have Kelly Parker, man of many hats, and today he's here as the mayor of Alva with his State of the City, which hopefully doesn't mean that he's going to blame all the citizens for all of our problems. So.
Or the ex-mayor.
Hey, there you go.
First thing we need to do is secure our borders here in Alva. I'm teasing.
We can do that.
Thank you, Lynn, for the invitation, and thank you, Kiwanis Club. I don't know, since I've become mayor, I think this might be the first time I've been out here to speak about the city of Alva. Have been out here to speak about a number of other things. So anyway, hopefully I'm every bit as entertaining as before with different subject matter. Just to kind of, I guess, go over a few of the things that have happened. I've been in office now 9 months, and it's been pretty interesting to kind of get acclimated to everything that's going on within the city. I knew it was busy. I knew Arden was busy all the time when he was mayor, and I knew that there was going to be a lot that I would just have to figure out how much is going on and where it's going on and where can I fit these types of things into my schedule. But I had been in office for 6 months and had been trying to keep track of all the meetings I'd attended on behalf of the city or as the mayor, and I got to well over 100 meetings within the first 6 months, and I decided I was going to quit counting because it's just too many. I'll keep going, but it's a lot of obligation, and I know Arden did a very good job of making the rounds to all of the meetings that he went to, whether in Alva or across the state. And the meetings that I've been to, I'll tell you that he has been a wonderful representative of our community, and the rest of the mayors and leadership of municipalities across the state have remarked on numerous occasions of what a good leader Arden has been among their ranks. And I just want to share that with you, that you're very well thought of. What's been going on, City of Alva? We've had a busy year of capital projects. We've had runway extension. We've had lighting projects. We're working on hangar projects out at the airport. We've completed some 50 or 60 blocks of street repairs. We've purchased capital equipment for street repairs in the form of an asphalt paver. We are currently working on a $600,000 12-inch water main that's going on from the water tower up at Thunderbird and Young all the way to the other side of the boulevard. There's sewer line projects slated. There's a number of capital projects that, because of the way the oil and gas and sales tax related to that activity were coming in over the last 2 to 3 years, that money, as it should be, whenever you have extra, you don't beef up your operation, you try to save that and put it into where it can be used for capital expenditures. One-time things that if you never have that money again, you're not any worse off, because those projects are long overdue in our community, and it was obviously not my leadership that set these things in motion, but I'm glad to be part of seeing some of these projects come to be initiated and completed in some regards. As far as the operation is concerned, the city has expended less than it budgeted to expend this year, and also less than just in opera, taking the capital out of it. Less than it budgeted, as well as less than it spent last year. And it has also brought in less. But from the operation standpoint, the money that is in excess of budget or in excess of previous years is all for capital. The operation is not suffering from the decline we've seen in sales tax reductions or anything like that, because we didn't build it up to be anything more than it is right now, and we're still looking for ways to be more cost effective in different areas. Let's see, at the end of December, I've got, and of course we're at the coming up on the end of January now, but I've got the business manager's report, and we collected just over $6 million and spent about a little less than $8.5 million. The revenue is 44% of what was budgeted, so we're 6% under budget. And the expenditures are 53% of our total annual budget, and so we're pretty close to where we need to be as far as budgeted capital expenses. A couple of our projects came in. I know, having worked for Shares for almost 10 years now, whenever you bid things out, you hope you get more than one bid when you're in Alva, Oklahoma. And several of the projects we've had lately at the city have had 3 and 4 bids, and that makes it easy to take a lower bid than what you budgeted to spend, and we've had some of that happen in our capital programs. That allowed us to have money available to go ahead and buy the asphalt paver that we bought here a couple weeks ago, and probably this spring and this summer, as it warms up, we'll be getting to work on having another option for refinishing Alva streets instead of just chip and seal, and we'll probably actually do away with any slurry seal activities, as it's been an outdated practice for a while. That's, I know when I was elected, people were, talking all about the streets, and I'm glad that we are able to make some of those plans for the streets happen. Alva didn't get to the position it was in with the street deterioration overnight, and it's not going to get changed all in 1 or 2 or 3 years. So we've got a lot of work left ahead of us, but I think we're going to be in a good position to continue street improvements. Likewise, the water line improvements. Even before we started replacing major sections of the water line, some of you, if not all of you, have been experiencing water line breaks, and that is also, a result of an old system. We've patched and repaired in many places over the years, and until we get some new lines in place, we're not going to slow that down. So the Young Street project's a very significant project. Some of the things that you'll remember that had been approved probably when Arden was mayor, but you'll remember when we had the big snowstorm about 3 years ago. I think it was 2012, so maybe 4 years ago, 12 or 13, but the snowstorm knocked out the power to the water well field. The city made a conscious effort to get backup power out to the well field, and I'll tell you that within the last 3 months, power's gone out at least 3 times, if not 4 or 5 times. We've lost power to our wells that are either, it may be AEC, it may be OG&E, but whether it was ice or other weather events, we've lost power to our well fields. But the backup generators have kept water running to our community and our rural routes. So if there's been a water outage in town, it's been because of a water line break, and those are being addressed. We had 3 places this morning when I talked to the city manager, 3 places this morning that needed repaired within the city limits or within our city service area. And so probably my biggest concern moving forward is the condition of our water infrastructure, and our greatest need is to get that, because I think water is pretty darned important, and whether it's your business or whether it's just your health and general well-being, we've got to keep the water coming to the town, and so that's a priority of mine. I know Arden spent a lot of meetings with the Northwest Water Alliance, Water Action Planning Alliance, and it hasn't fit into my schedule to be able to make very many of those meetings, but I know that when I've attended and when I've talked to Alex and Joe Don, who are regular attendees at those meetings, we may have a lot of water available, but the quality of that water as time goes on continues to deteriorate, and it's not if we need to do something different about our water supply, but it is when. And so we're trying to keep working with our partners in other communities to make sure that we've always got what we need here for the people of Alva. Some other things that have been hot topics. There have been problems with the library roof. The city has replaced that roof, I think once, and repaired it a couple times since it was replaced, and that it continues to leak. The contractors, whatever, nobody can identify. It doesn't seem to be that why it is continuing to leak, but I know they eventually came to the conclusion that it wasn't the roof and that it was the drain system. And we have had our, prior to the last time the council met, which was, I guess, going on a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, they had scheduled twice for someone to come inspect those drain lines coming off the roof. And had, whether it was for weather or other reasons, those appointments had been canceled. And last Wednesday, we finally got someone out to run a camera down those drain lines and determine that those drain lines are functioning properly, and that there is still probably some trouble with the roof. Just came from City Hall. I think the plan of action is going to be to try to declare some kind of an emergency with that roof repair, and then get that taken care of as soon as possible. And if it's less than $75,000, that makes it where we can move much more quickly. But if it looks like it's going to cost more than $75,000, then we're into, the whole bid process of going out for competitive bid, the time it takes to do that, the time it takes to approve a competitive bid, and that kind of thing. My opinion, it's every time it rains, something else is getting damaged inside that library, and we need to do something about it. So that's where we're at with that process. I know the library board's been real concerned about that as far as other boards and commissions are concerned. I know the Rec Park Board is working hard to get their long-term plan in place. Really close, probably as close as you've ever been, Troy. And so,
since we never had one, when I came
Yep.
on, there was no long-term plan. It was just see a need, you did it. So planning ahead.
So hopefully that'll be shaping up. We'll have, we're working on, I mentioned several projects going on at the airport, and so and they're working on a lot of their policy and procedure manual type stuff. Henry tourism dollars so far are not too far down from previous years, is that correct?
50% less revenue.
50% less? That's not what I thought I read. Okay, but I'll take you on that.
From just last year?
Yeah, from last year.
From last year.
But there's a lot of good things still going on in Alva. I'm happy to. Alva wasn't built on the oil field. It certainly had good opportunities with the oil field over the years. Alva's not going to be sustained on the oil field, and so we'll keep encouraging other types of, whether it's retail or tourism or aviation, railroad, agriculture. All these things are some of the staples for our community, and we'll keep trying to focus on ways to boost those. So I'm happy to try and answer any questions you have. Sir, Mr. Mayor.
Your Honor, I understand on January 21st, our transfer station north of town began operation.
It should have. I haven't got an update on that yet. We were, the last council meeting, Joe Don did announce that it should have started operating on that day. So I have not heard an update of how it's going, but it should have.
It took 15 years to get that up and going, and I'm very proud of that facility. And I understand we're going to start recycling metal out of the trash.
We would like to. I don't think we have a defined plan in place at this point. We have, Northwestern put on a nice workshop a few months ago on, and it was part of the core group, Conserving Our Ranger Environment. But they had different recycling groups from across this corner of the state, and as well as participants from our neighbors up in Kansas and So we have some feedback on how that can happen in Alva. We don't have a good plan for financing that in Alva. So we don't want to start something that we can't afford, but we do want to continue to look at how we can move that forward. I think there are some ways for people to participate that may involve private enterprise and not city administration. Jim.
I know that you've removed the asphalt from several streets, 12th Street being a good example. What is the plan for going back on those streets? You're going to use this new asphalt machine to repave those, or does it?
We will.
Other options?
We will either we'll repair the base where it needs repaired, and then we'll go over with either a chip and seal or asphalt. Yes. Terry.
Hey Kelly, who's responsible for the curbing after, on a street that's already, is it the city still responsible for the curbs if they deteriorate, or is the homeowner?
I think in most cases the city's going to replace those curbs. If they took out a curb to do what they're doing, they would. Unless there's a
Spots that just, after a while freezing in, they start breaking up. I've got one.
All right. If you, any problems like that, call Joe Don, call the business manager. He's going to be the one to assign somebody to take care of that. And you can tell me and I'll tell Joe Don, and I don't mind doing that. But it's one of those things he's going to be the quickest one to be able to take care of it. Whether it's a pothole or somebody messed up your trash pickup or whatever it is.
Kelly, with pulled back on the oil field, is the city of Alva fully staffed?
The city of Alva has openings in the ambulance department. Other than that, yes.
But I mean, a year ago or a year and a half ago, they had openings in water,
Streets, yeah, everything.
everywhere.
Right now, the only openings are in ambulance. I think, actually, I got that listed here. Hold on, let me verify it. Paramedic, EMT. That's what we're looking for. Jim.
How's the water meter replacement? I know that at the parsonage at the Methodist Church, the crew that was doing that replacement broke the meter that was there, and the city had to come and replace that.
There have been, right after it started, there were well fewer issues than anticipated, and those are catching up. So, but I think they are probably in the neighborhood of 2/3 complete for the community. Some issues with damage and breakage. We figured that was going to happen in some instances, and it has. There have been also instances where the difference between what the old meter was reading and the new meter is reading is significant, and so we've had some issues like that. And if you hear of anybody that finds themselves in that situation, have them call down to City Hall. We do feel like a lot of what necessitated us getting the new readers is that the old meters weren't working. So we expect that there's going to be some increase in shown water usage. It's not actual usage, it's just what the meter reads. Everybody's probably using about the same amount of water. So we're having issues, but there are still some errors in that. So we are finding errors, whether it had been how the data was converted from cubic feet to gallons, whether it was how it was exported from our old system and imported into the new system. We are finding some errors with that too. So it could be any number of things if you experience a change in your bill.
What's the issue with the water quality right now? That want to go on part of the possible solution?
Nitrates are what everybody's worried about. There's nothing wrong with our water quality right now, but the communities around us are having more and more trouble with nitrates.
What's the cost from our
Cause. I thought you said cost. It's going to be things like, fertilizer and other pollutants. But like I said, we're okay right now. I don't know without massive EPA changes we're going to see that change. I don't know if massive EPA changes would be supported around here, to be quite honest with you, regardless of what would be best for the quality of our water. We're looking to figure out ways to get our water from other areas of the state.
What is the possibility in that regard? And I don't even know if it's feasible or anything else. If the amount is there, but the springs over where McDermott has his stuff over the Salt Plains area, what's the possibility for that in any way whatsoever?
My understanding, there's not enough capacity for our community and our rural water districts. I can't remember. I think it's. I'm not going to spout off a number, but we use a lot of water around here, millions of gallons, and so this is. And Arden, I know you've said this before too when you were mayor, but it's the cheapest water's ever going to be where it is right now. It's only going to get more expensive, and it really. It's concerning because nobody wants to see their utility rates go up, but nobody wants to be without water either. If we have to do something expensive to make sure our water quality and supply is good, we're going to do that, but everybody's going to have to share the cost.
You commented that our water quality continues to deteriorate, and is that? I mean, it is measurable less quality than it had been. Is that accurate?
That's my understanding, isn't it, Arden?
I'd be happy to address that. We're at this current time, our largest capacity wells in the well field are the ones that are most seriously polluted with nitrates. But fortunately, we have some wells in the well field that are low in nitrates, and we're able to blend, have a tank on site down there. Now, at some point in time, if those wells reach the point where they're all high in nitrates, then we'll be in a situation where we can only resolve it with reverse osmosis or alternative water supply. Over the years, we looked at the Byron Driftwood area, which has some very nice producing water wells. But the situation there is you have to cross the wildlife refuge with a pipeline, and that requires all sorts of federal intervention and the disruption of migratory bird flight that might be unacceptable to the federal government. The city of Cherokee years ago was faced with a situation where they had 9 water wells, all in the city limits, some of them only 30 feet deep. And so they reverse osmosis every single drop of water, and you can imagine what the cost is, plus the ongoing cost of maintaining the membranes and so on. But I think that at some point in time we may be faced with a situation where we will need a reverse osmosis plant on site in the well field. But that's maybe
and I'm hoping there's some kind of a technological advancement that makes RO a better option than what it is currently today, because it's horribly expensive. And when I've talked to folks in Cherokee, they and other places, they're not necessarily satisfied that they're getting what they're paying for. So that's I do hope by the time we need to do something that there's a better option than what's currently available. Art?
We pushed for reservoirs for years, but I have suddenly had a change of heart. I'm not in favor of reservoirs because you lose too much water to evaporation. I'm currently in favor of re-injecting fresh water into existing freshwater aquifers when there are periods of plenty.
And I'm sure you're aware of this. I mean, the little town of Alva, and this has been 25 years ago, had got a grant to put in new wells. And they were testing nitrates to see where they wanted to drill. And just so happened they drilled my grandpa's place 5 miles west because it had been in the grass program since the 50s, so there hadn't been any agriculture, no fertilizer. And so it tested good. Now, 25 years later, the nitrates have came out of it anyway, even though it's still not being fertilized or whatever. But that would lead me to think that if you're looking, you've got to look at ground where it's not ag-producing ground for a well. I mean, whether that's west or grasslands or, wells where there's not,
The biggest conversations I've been a part of have meant a pipeline from eastern Oklahoma to northwestern Oklahoma. And that's that's not going to be cheap either. So I like I said, I'm about to the extent of my expertise on water for this purpose of this conversation, but it's our options for improving the situation are horribly expensive moving forward.
So it's not just an issue of drilling more wells, 10 miles further west.
I think the water rights are what the issue is, and those are horribly expensive. I mean, such that, you might as well, you might be the same money or more to put in an RO system. I think, I don't know if it was one particular tribe, but I know the Chickasaws have done a lot of campaigning and lobbying publicly regarding the water, on whether it's tribal lands or otherwise. And I think whether you agree with their stance on it or not, there's been a lot of attention brought up regarding the value of water and what it's going to be worth moving forward. And so I don't think we're looking at any cost-effective options anywhere. All right. Well, thank you guys. If there is anything you ever want to call, I'm not terribly hard to find. I might be hard to stop.